What is up, guys? My name is Matt, working for Cinematography Database, and in this video we're going to be setting up Adobe Mixamo Fuse characters inside of Cinema 4D using Redshift. So we're going to be looking at Redshift shaders, and how to set them up to make Fuse characters look good. So let's get right into Cinema 4D. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control-Shift-O, or for the uninitiated, that is what? Actually, I'm not uninitiated. Control-Shift-O is merge. That's how you import. They say merge. That's always confused me, but I'm going to go to my folder that says Characters Fuse, and you're going to download a Fuse character. I'm not going to show you how to make it. I'm just going to show you how to set it up. Actually, the Fuse builder has been kind of bugged for me lately, but this is still the place that I get most of my characters for now. We're going to do male rocker, and we're going to bring in the FBX. You'll see that I've set this up a number of other times, but I'm going to bring in the FBX here, and we're going to open it. As far as this stuff, I think if I unclick tracks, that'll be good. Subdivision surface, I don't think so. I probably should have figured this out, but I think all of this is going to be fine. I would turn off tracks so that there's no keys. And yeah, let's try this. Let's see how it goes. Pretty good. Looks pretty good so far. And yeah, this is what you're going to get. So with the Fuse character, you're going to get this skeleton. Let's see if there's any keyframes on it. That's usually an issue. No keyframes, that's awesome. So we just turn off the tracks. And so this is the skeleton that you would move around if you wanted to move him, but we're going to be setting up the shader. That's what's important for us. I typically do this. I'm going to say character rs male rocker. And I write rs on everything that has Redshift stuff on it just so that I know for certain. I'm going to put that in there. So we're going to go ahead and take all of these shaders and delete them. We don't need them. I don't need any of these. Not helpful at all for this process. So to be able to look dev, we're going to create a quick little setup here. And this is how I typically look dev my stuff. There's probably better ways. I actually don't like using HDR spheres like a lot of people do, or HDRIs in general. I find that you actually don't have enough. You get like a little bit too much lighting that you don't want. Like I just want to see like one source and just kind of start from there, if that makes sense. I don't like to have lots and lots of lights. And especially on an HDRI, that's going to have way too much stuff in it. So I'm making kind of like a 12 by 12 size source there. And yeah, that's going to be a good start. So that's a Redshift area light. And let's see, let's go to, we're going to create the standard material. We're going to use this quite a bit. We're going to open this, and I'm going to name it RS floor. If I open this up, you can get right in there. I'm going to say 80. So I'm going to go slower when we actually get to the real part, but put this on there for now. And I'm going to go to render settings. We're going to actually turn on Redshift. For GI, we're going to say brute force, and for this, we're going to say point cloud. Turn it up a little bit, and this is going to get us started here. So I'm going to dig into you right there. And the reason I have this angled like this is that this light source is going to reflect into him, and I'm going to really sense that. I'm going to really be able to tell that in a little bit here. And I think I'm also going to add a little bit of a return wall. If this makes sense, I'm going to make a copy of this, and I'm just going to give it so that there's a little bit of bounce returning from this wall. So this light will hit him, hit that wall, and bounce back to a little bit of fill. And that's kind of like the general idea for the lighting. And let's check this out here. Start up the render view, which is in Redshift. Render view, and I've heard that maybe Mac doesn't have the render view, which would be kind of sad, but I hope that's not the case. So here we are, and let's turn up the light to 5 to 10 to 20, something around there. Can't tell because the shaders aren't set up correctly. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to close this, and we're going to finally start making shaders. So we're going to take the RS floor, and I'm going to control drag another one. I'm going to double click this. I'm going to call it RS body. I typically do this, but this is like my internal naming thing, but I would say body. Okay. And we're going to open up the shader graph right here. So more windows would be helpful here, but what we're going to do is we're going to open up our Finder, whatever OS you have, and you're going to go into the place where all the materials are stored. And I have a lot of these. There's a lot because there's different mats for different parts of the body. on the character. So let's start with the body one. So body diffuse, body gloss, body opacity. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take specular. That's pretty good. And not normal. Normal we have to bring in a different way. So we're going to take these and we're going to drag them into here. You know, typically it actually asks me if I want to add those to project, but it didn't this time. I find that kind of odd, kind of eerie that they didn't do that. And each one of these gets a little bit easier, I think, as we kind of set this up. We just kind of copy and paste and have to do this exactly the same. So let's organize these maps. We have our color, our specular, our gloss, and our opacity. Now, I'll show you the way that technically you should do this, but then I'll show you the way that I like to do it. So the last thing I'm going to bring in is the normal here, the normal map. Drag one of these out. And I'm going to go in here and go find it. So again, for me, that's in characters, fuse, male, rocker. And you have to bring in the normal map this way. Okay. So let's start linking this all up and seeing what it looks like in the render view. So I'm going to hit play. And I'm actually going to apply CD Matte RS body to the body like this. And these are eyes. The default are eyes. I don't know why it does that. So we're going to go from here, which is the color material, the diffuse, and we're going to drag it into the blue square. We're going to go to diffuse color. How's that look? Looks okay. Now, technically, this is the workflow. You go bring specular into reflection weight. No. I'm sorry. I get that wrong. Into reflection color. I'm going to do it into reflection color. So that's telling it how bright the reflection is, more or less. So like different parts have different amounts of reflective brightness, essentially. And this map would tell the material how to do that. The gloss is like how rough it is, like if it's like really, really shiny or if it's really kind of diffuse of a reflection. So we put that into, the gloss goes into reflection roughness, which I'll show you why this is not exactly the way I like to work, but we're going to do a little bit differently. And opacity goes into overall opacity, pretty easy. And then the normal map goes into overall bump. And there's no displacement map for fuse characters. So it looks like this. So our area light is a tiny bit bright. So I'm going to go to 10. Yeah. And I'm actually going to zoom in on our person just to get a little bit up in there, up in this business. Because if you get the face looking right, then the rest of it comes a little bit easier. And what I'm going to do is put it like this. And the thing is, I actually like my people to be a little bit shinier, so I'm actually going to delete both of these maps. But I wanted to show you where you're supposed to technically put them. And then you can right-click this and say Ports, Remove Unused. So I'm really only going to use the color, the opacity, and the normal. That's all I really want from this fuse character. Then I'm going to click the actual material here. And then under, you might have this, but we don't need that. That's for like see-through stuff or subsurface. We're going to change some stuff here. So the color we can't really mess with. That's being handled by the map. And we're going to look at this reflection here because I don't like using the maps that come with Fuse for this. I'm going to change this to 1.35, which is kind of the IOR of skin. I think it's like 1.4 actually. 1.4-ish. Doesn't matter all that much. Beckman's going to be fine. And the weight is fine. And I want to play with this roughness here. So you'll see as I change the roughness that the skin becomes like basically not shiny. And then at 0, it's fully shiny, like really funny looking shiny. And maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can look at this a little better. Fixed scaling, 100. Should probably come up with a better layout to do this, but this is how we're doing it for now. So there's the skin, and there's the reflection of the light source in it, and we just want to find a roughness that makes sense. So like if they were really sweaty, you know, something like this maybe makes sense, but not really. That's like way too sweaty. This could definitely use like a roughness map, but the one they gave us, I don't like at all. I like them to be a little bit shinier. So I think somewhere like 0.6 is kind of reasonable. And perhaps this light is still just a little bit bright, like 8. So something like this. So that's what happens if we get rid of the reflection. It's pretty good. Put it back. So I think 0.6 for the roughness, which is kind of like the biggest thing you want to nail for the skin. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's close this. We're going to basically do this for all of them, but now we have a kind of a starting point. So let's bring this over. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to call this RS eyes. And eyes is a little bit different, so let's do eyes together. We're going to bring eyes onto the eyes here. We're going to open up the shader graph. Okay. And it won't like update this if you're rendering sometimes. So now we actually see the eyes. That's great. And what we want to change about this now, all of this is fine. Actually, the roughness, I want to kill reflection. And actually, I'll do it here. I'm gonna put the reflection back all the way up to 1. So now we'll see like an actual reflection in his eyes. So let's see if we can get a good angle on this. There. So now you actually see the key light reflected in his eyes, and that's pretty important. And there's other ways to do this too, but I think this is going to work out fine. And for the weight is 1, and you can kind of dial in how bright the reflection is going to be. So I feel like somewhere in the point, maybe like the 0.5 world looks about right for eye lights. They shouldn't be like too bright. And I think they're actually a little bit more reflective. Eyes like 2 IOR, maybe like 1.8. This is like viewing angle, but you basically see the reflection in the eye from almost all angles. So then maybe we'll put it at like 0.25. 0.25 on the weight, 1.8 on the IOR, and I would say for roughness, I'd say 0.08. Add a tiny bit of roughness in there. I know these numbers seem kind of arbitrary, but these are the ones I've kind of been testing out for a while. And I'm pretty happy with this. So with that in mind, let's go do the eyelashes. But actually, I think eyelashes will work fine if you do them as part of body. So let me see if I put the body texture on the eyelashes. Yeah, that looks okay, because it has the alpha already in it. Not bad, not bad. So I got a text message from Seamless Web. Okay, so let's do the hair now. Let's do the hair. This is looking pretty good so far. So we're gonna just, not that one, we're gonna take the body, make another copy, call it RS hair. And this should be a little bit easier, I think. I don't know. Actually, so we're gonna delete those, and we're gonna grab the hair. So the diffuse, the gloss, and these ones I actually think I like some of this stuff. We need the opacity. That looks okay. And the specular, in this case, I think those look like pretty good maps. The other ones, the maps, I don't like them at all. Am I gonna use these this time? We'll try it. So we're gonna drag these in. And we're back here, and I'm going to drag the hair onto the hair. Yeah, okay. So we have the specular, the opacity, and the hair gloss. So again, into diffuse color. That looks pretty good. Sort of. Looks terrible. Actually, let's change the normal map right away to the hair normal map. Looking better. Let's do the opacity. These are like the important ones. And there, it's starting to look like hair. It's a little dark. It's a little dark now, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just add a quick backlight to this whole situation just to edge this out. And this wall is not like close enough to actually be filling in anything. I'm going to go like this. I know this is kind of a jacked lighting setup for someone who does lighting setups kind of for a living at this point, but it's just like a look dev one. I'm not trying to get like too crazy with it. Just give a little bit of ambient to this room. Now it's time to start looking at some backlights. So we'll do kind of like a big old, I guess this doesn't need to really be rotated like that. Put it back to 0. I just wanted like a little bit of fill to actually be coming back in. So I actually aimed at you, it is. Viewport preview is not all that helpful, though you can dial them in to be a little bit better. So let's look at something like this. Play. There's a little edge light and a little fill from the wall. So not bad. Let's continue our look dev. So hair. Didn't update the map, even though we've updated some stuff. And let's see if this is actually any good. So I'll bring these down here, and there's a chance that I don't use them, but let's look at them. I don't typically like the spec maps that come out of Fuse all that much. Color. And roughness. Yeah, that's right. So let's get up a little bit closer to this thing. Look at it. I mean, I guess that's okay. It seems fine. I mean, it could probably be shinier. But this is like game hair. This is polygon hair. This isn't like using actual Cinema 4D hair, which I'll do in a different tutorial because Redshift just crushes, absolutely crushes Cinema 4D hair. It just renders so quickly that we might as well use it. That's fine. That's fine for there. How about we just leave that? We'll just say that's it. So let's move on to the tops. Is what they call it, tops. The shirt or the jacket. Say tops. Open up the shader graph. Close. So in this case, I'm gonna definitely not use those. I am gonna use the normal, and I don't believe there's any opacity really for anything else other than the eyelashes and the hair. So I'm going to remove unused, and we're going to make sure that we bring in a normal and a diffuse. That's all I really need, I think, at this point, and the rest of it will set manually. So, where are they? So, top. Where's the top? The specular map looks almost okay, but I'm going to use the diffuse and the normal. That's all I'm going to use. Bring those in. Normal. And yeah, here. Let's put that there. Put this here. I guess I haven't applied this yet, so we're gonna put this on the top. And yeah, that's pretty good. So let's get a different angle on this whole thing. A little bit more reflection of the light source and whatnot. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay looking. So what I would look at here now is this roughness, and I think something like 0.5 looks okay. This isn't the best scene for it. Oh, what happened with that? That looks kind of funny. Is this normal map right? Is this the right normal map? It is, right? Top normal. Looks kind of pixelated or something, right? Doesn't look... How's it look on this side? Looks better. Right? This actually doesn't look... This looks kind of funny. Why is it so pixelated? There's something up with this now. I don't know why that looks so pixelated right now. Let me look at this tops. It's the Fong is. I don't think does Fong even do anything in Redshift? It does not, as it shouldn't. Well, that looks kind of odd. I don't really like this. 1.3 roughness 0.5. I think 0.6, something like that, for the leather, because the leather's a little bit shiny. There seems to be something funny with like the smoothing on this for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what's up with that, but this is still how you set up the shaders. So we'll kind of continue here. Let's see. So we're gonna do tops, and then we're gonna do shoes. I'll just name these up here now. We're gonna do pants, and we're gonna say shoes. And we will just drag those on there. So pants goes on bottoms, and shoes goes on shoes, and it will look all screwed up and weird for a while here. And I'm gonna add even more fill because I'm kind of wanting to see a little bit more now of the scene. I'm less concerned about the specular light and the reflections. I just want to like actually see what's going on. So I want to have a kind of a brighter scene here. I know this is kind of bad lighting. -90. Back this wall up a little bit. And just make a light source like this. Okay, so let's see how this is feeling now. Unfortunately, this obviously looks like crap in the viewport, but that's because it's not the native render engine. Okay. Very bright. 4. Let that resolve. Yeah, well, let's go clean up these textures. So we're going to go to pants. We're going to launch the shading, blah, blah, blah. Delete these. Let's go get the pants. The pants are diffuse and normal. No. Oh, is that why? Oh, that's why. Okay, I screwed something up. I'm sorry, guys. So we're going to go to tops and launch the shading graph. And this is why this doesn't make sense. You can't do this. Okay, my bad. I'm still kind of new to this as well. You can't bring it in this way. You actually have to call it. Everyone was probably watching this and being like, oh, you did it wrong. But we learned together. You actually cannot do it that way. You must bring it in this way. So that's the top. Where'd it go? This one. You have to bring it in as a normal map. And now that's going to look better. Oh, didn't connect it. Oh my god. So much better now. Oh. That was confusing to me. That really confused me before. So let's go to the pants, and we're going to, or were we doing shoes before? Did I do this wrong? No, we'll go back to the pants. Okay, so my daughter just photobombed me. I'm gonna get back into this. We're looking for the pants, what here? The diffuse, right? So let's see, the pants, diffuse. Here we are. Put that right there. That should look good. Then we're gonna write normal, and we're going to bring that into here. And we're gonna go back to the pants normal, which is this one, the bottom. And that's gonna make it all bumped out and look cool. Looks okay. And as far as bump, I mean, jeans don't really have like any, I mean, they have like, they shouldn't be shiny like at all, but just say that these are a tiny bit shiny, we'll say 0.7 and 1.3. That's fine. Honestly, like 1.1 or something like that, or like, yeah, 1.2 maybe at the most. Something like this. Looks like reasonable. And let's go to the shoes and finish this all out. It's of course not the right way to do it. And if we do that, it's gonna have the wrong name. So let's bring in a normal, and let's bring in a texture. Sorry if this has been kind of like a wandery tutorial. Definitely got some stuff wrong, but hopefully my mistakes help you understand this process a little bit better. So we're gonna do the shoes, and we're wrapping this up, show diffuse. And actually I think the specular maps looked okay on this one, so maybe I'll use them. Normal map, let's go get it. Shoe normal. Like this, like that. But I really typically don't like them, so let's do like, again, let's just do 0.3 for the shoes. Like how shiny are these shoes? Let's go look at that. We're gonna go investigate this. I know this is like the worst look dev layout in the world, but when he's kind of floating off the ground too, but that's okay. Okay, so there's the shoes, and if we do 0.1, they're like wet. 0.2, 0.5. 0.5 looks okay, to be honest. But I'll give it a little extra shiny because it's CG, and CG needs a little bit of love sometimes. So I think that's it. I'm not even going to use the specular maps. I don't think that they're all that good for the stuff that I'm using. And let's look at our character. Let's give it kind of, we're going to do a final render, and then I will, that will wrap it up. So let's turn off, let's look at this light. That's the key light, right? So this is still too bright. 6, 5. Yeah, sure, okay. That's fine. And then we will, what are we gonna do? Let's put you in the ground a little bit. Your feet are not even, but they should at least be kind of in the ground. Something like this will be fine. And for people that are like brand new to using a Fuse character, you're gonna wanna go in here and then get open the arms. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I know this is a huge pain in the butt, but this is the workflow we have until someone makes like properly rigged characters for Cinema 4D available. Which maybe there are some, I just haven't found any. I'm not a huge fan of Daz, and it's very likely I'm gonna have to be the person who's gonna kind of like commission some characters and get them rigged up and looking nice. But for now, this works completely fine. This guy's arms come in like kind of angled, so you're gonna tip them back, bring them down. The more you do this, the less painful it is. And if you did the thing in the import process where you don't bring in animation tracks, then you don't have to delete the keyframes like a lot of people do. So let us look at like a pretty high resolution. Let's just look at them straight on, like this. And we're gonna do a final render. Tired of looking at that horrendous lighting. We'll do something like this. And let's go to render settings. And I'll do a video on render settings another time, but we're gonna do 16.256.05. We're going to go to reflection samples and make it 128. We're going to go to light samples and we're going to make this 128 as well. So that's pretty good. And let's see a 720p render go. See how this looks. That was the point clouding. Here's the rendering. I'm pretty happy with this. This looks okay to me. His skin, you know, we could technically use subsurface scattering, but I'm not going to. Something from my testing, the Fuse characters don't accept SS that well, or SSS all that well, but hair looks good, skin is okay. No SS, of course. Subsurface. I like how the jacket looks. It looks like a nice kind of like soft leather jacket. Not much reflection on the pants and a little bit of reflection on the shoes. And let's get up in there and see if we can see the eye light. Hopefully we can. Highlights add like a lot to the effect, especially when they're big light sources. So far I'm not seeing it in the point cloud, but maybe I will see it in the final render. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle there, but I like that. I don't think it should be like a huge white reflection. So yeah, so the highlight's in there a little bit. And again, you can play with the brightness of it in the material of the eyes. So maybe we'll just kind of end by doing that. I'm just gonna, I guess I'll let it finish. It's pretty fast here. This is two 1080 Ti's doing this rendering here. It's actually taking longer than I thought it would have for something like this, but that's pretty cool. And let's turn on our look dev again, and we will go back to the eyes, and let's make the eyes reflection just a little bit stronger, I guess. So that was here. So we could make it like 0.4. I mean, what if you made it 1? Is that wrong? 1 doesn't look all that bad, honestly. If you do 1 and you make the IOR 1.8, that looks pretty realistic. I guess that's what it would look like. But we can still cheat in case it's being like too overbearing or whatnot. But I kind of like this. Kind of like the 1. Is it a little bit too bright? I think it's just a little bit too bright, right? I'm gonna turn it down just because it's not, doesn't have to be perfectly physically accurate. I can just make it look like however I want it to. 0.8. Maybe 0.5. What was it before? I forget. Let's make it 0.6 and call it a day. Okay, I'm just gonna do this final render, and this will be it. This will be our Fuse character. What's gonna be my thumbnail? I don't know. Probably this, I guess. Kind of an ugly thumbnail. But yeah. So that's the process. I know it was a little bit painful and I kind of messed some things up, but you know, it's not too bad. You just have to learn how to work with the node editor versus the material editor in Cinema 4D. You can drag in the files, and you can also like type in the left and drag them in that way. I kind of like the typing them in and dragging them in way, because it makes you remember that normal maps need to come in differently and displacement maps have to come in differently. So I don't really know, but I wanted to show that workflow. We got his highlights working. His hair looks, the hair looks bad, to be honest. It's not like, it doesn't look like real hair. It's not shiny in the right way, but we'll do an episode on real hair when I start rigging these guys out with hair instead of this video game looking stuff here. We didn't do subsurface on the skin, but I think, what was it, 0.6 or something, 0.7 for the roughness looks pretty good. We talked about, you know, figuring out how you're going to choose your roughness for different materials, and I think this looks overall pretty nice. So if you guys have any questions about this process, because I confused you, I screwed something up, leave them in the comments below or on the forum at cinematographydb.com, which is very empty at the moment, but I put it up there just in case people want to do old school forums. Until next time, I will see you guys on the next video.